everybody, this is the Wikstrand. So Klaus Kinski and Werner Herzog made a bunch of movies together, and throughout their illustrious career, some of them has been very good, such as Nosferatu and Aguirre, The Wrath of God. Some has been good, such as Cobra Verde. Some has been a little bit, too ambitious and a little bit overrated, such as Fitzcarraldo. In my opinion, I think that Woyzeck, the movie that we're gonna take a look at today, is probably the weakest in their filmography. It's by no means a bad movie. I just think that I misunderstood it somewhat, and maybe it was trying to say something that I couldn't quite figure out. But let's find out what this movie is about, and if you think that you will like it more than I did. This is my review of Woyzeck. Woyzeck, played by Klaus Kinski, he is a soldier that lives in a small German provincial town. I think it is the early 19th century or something like that. He doesn't get a lot of respect here. He is belittled by people everywhere he goes, and he's also starting to get more and more paranoid because he hears voices and stuff like that. And because he's played by Klaus Kinski, that he is a volcano that is waiting for an eruption, essentially. He's also the father of a child that has been outside of wedlock with Marie, who I don't quite know whether or not she is a prostitute, or if she is looked upon as a prostitute. She's not, getting that much respect either. But and you might think to yourself at this point, what is this movie about? What is the plot? And I will say that I didn't know. It took a long time for this movie to actually get going somewhere, because he just walks around and talks to people and getting increasingly agitated and paranoid and stuff like that. And I mean, he was walking to this doctor and doing this weird diet thing, and was he getting paid for that, or is he just doing that because he wants to punish himself for some reason? I didn't know where this one was going. It was rudderless and it seemed a bit pointless. But when we had 15 minutes left, maybe 12 even, then they did something that I didn't see coming. It was maybe one of the single most awfully awesome displays of cinema violence I have ever seen. If you're talking on-screen violence where less is more, then this is one of the prime examples of it, because it was horrible and beautiful and awful and terrible at the same time. It was, oh shit! And at that point I said to myself, why didn't you do that 40 minutes ago? Jesus Christ! Because they couldn't capitalize on that piece of business, and the movie ended in an inconclusive way that was underwhelming and was kind of pointless. And then I said, is that it? And yes, that is it. Now, this movie has lots of perks to it, because you have Klaus Kinski. He's fantastic. I'm only saying that because I'm afraid that Klaus Kinski might crawl out of his grave, find me and choke me to death if I don't say how great he is. But jokes aside, he is fantastic, and in this movie is just another one of these fantastic performances that he did in collaboration with Werner Herzog. The thing is that out of his performances that I've seen, this is probably the least interesting that he has, been, but he's still good. The atmosphere this movie has is unusual, and the editing is very unique. So we have that going on, and the cinematography is great. But the fact is that the movie is kind of boring, and the movie doesn't really have anything going for itself. I mean, the movie clocks in at barely 80 minutes, so I mean, they don't have that much time to actually get a story going, but it is possible to do. But they decided not to do that. Woyzeck is apparently based on an unfinished play. Maybe that's why the finish of the movie felt a bit underwhelming and abrupt, and was like, what? There's not gonna be any repercussions, or there's not gonna be any follow-up to this. We're just gonna have this thing. So maybe that was in the original play. But I wouldn't be surprised if, there is some critics out there who would reply to this by saying, well, this is, to represent, so-and-so and such, and, this is actually a tale about so-and-so or something like that. And that is probably all fine and dandy, but the thing is, I just didn't see it. I couldn't see what they were trying to do. I was just kind of bored until the very end of the movie, where it goes 100 miles an hour and then it, finishes off in a, lackluster way. So, do I recommend this movie? It's probably one of the weaker movies I've seen that I still would recommend you to see, because it is such a unique experience, and because it is so short. You at least know that, well, this is not very good, but at least it is short, so it will be over fairly fast. And maybe you will see what I missed, because this movie kind of ran away from me, or I ran away from it. I don't know which one happened first, but Woyzeck is by no meaning a bad film. It is just a movie that failed to connect with me, and I didn't understand what was the point of the whole thing. I can see what the point was with most of Herzog's other movies, and to be fair, Cobra Verde also had a kind of an inconclusive and vague ending, but I still kind of figured out what was the point of it. This I can't figure out, but it's not bad. It's just not as good as the other things that Herzog has done. Woyzeck gets 40 points. Great acting and a fantastic atmosphere cannot compensate for the fact that a lot of this movie is a lot of nothing happening, and then the movie ends in an inconclusive way, which I didn't really like. So it's not bad, but it's not good either. So which one is your favorite of the Kinski Herzog movies? Comment below, and I'll see you next time from, well, so-and-so reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you.